In the CELPIP writing and speaking exam, if you want to score a 9 or 10 or higher, which is very difficult for writing and speaking, you need to ensure one thing that most people miss, and that is the use of some of the best phrases, words, sentences that give you marks for vocabulary, tone, advanced structure, advanced usage, range of vocabulary, range of sentences, variety, and so much more. The lesson that you're about to do today will not only discuss 10 of the best phrases you can use, but it'll also teach you why they're supposed to be used, and you can then get a better understanding of what you need to do in your exams. So the first thing is amazingly plus adjective. I'll tell you what it is, I'll tell you why it's important for you. When you say something is good, it's basic, right? You're gonna get a 7 or 8 for saying the word good. Everybody can say that. But if you say it is amazing, or let's say terrific. Now, terrific is an advanced adjective giving you more marks. How could you even make it better? You could say it's amazingly terrific, amazingly advantageous, amazingly, and then another adjective that complements whatever thing you're trying to say, amazingly magnificent. This is the combination of adverb, which is amazingly, plus the adjective, giving you a range of vocab whenever you are describing something. It shows good emphasis too and gives you marks for being advanced and unique because very few people do it. Then let's talk about the next phrase, will culminate in. Now, the purpose of this video is to show you phrases that you can actually use, and these are phrases that will apply in so many places. For example, will culminate in simply means will lead to. A lot of times in writing and speaking, we explain the advantages or the harms of something. So you explain that if you do this, it will culminate in something, or it will lead to something, same meaning, but way more advanced. And it is very handy because you will use it every time you conclude an idea. The next thing is as long as. Now, as long as is a good connector. We have discussed connectors like furthermore, moreover, likewise. But when we talk about connectors in the middle of sentences, as well as is a good one, we could also include that. And as long as is a very good one too. It is not advanced, but it helps you connect multiple ideas and it helps you make a sentence long. For example, you could say that the park will be useful to the residents as long as the park is open 24/7. Now, by adding as long as, you made this into one sentence instead of making two separate sentences. And here you will get the marks for having a complex sentence. So a lot of you have the struggle of making complex sentences, especially when you have to add another condition. Well, this is the best way. Whatever you want to say, well, this will be proven right as long as, and add that condition. There is your complex sentence mark. The next thing, point number 4 is saying due to. Now, we are used to saying because way too much, and you will not score that high if you're using basic words that everybody is using. If you say due to instead of because, you gain more marks. It is unique, and you can also use this as a replacement of since. Now, you might be thinking due to is fairly common, but it is not. We provide feedback for writing and speaking. And by the way, if you need feedback, you can email us. Email is in the description. We'll tell you your scores. And when we provide feedback, we just see a few things being repeated like 80% of the times. And, so, but. There's and because. There's not a variety really. So when you say due to, it instantly stands out, and it's a good replacement for because or since. It's more advanced because it's used less often, and it's a great connector. It connects multiple ideas when you give reasonings. Then we have considering. Now, this is not a phrase. Phrase is more than a word. This is just a word, but I wanted to include that in this lesson because it has multiple uses. When you start a sentence with considering, it instantly becomes a complex sentence. For example, considering the state of the country right now, comma, or in speaking, you would just pause. So considering the state of the country right now, we would need to implement a new law. Now, we would need to implement a new law is a separate clause. It's the second clause added to the first clause, and we were able to do it by using the word considering at the beginning of the sentence. I also do it in the middle of the sentence, which is why it is so handy and so important to use. We could say, we have to cut company costs this year considering the high costs last year. So by adding considering, you add another clause and it makes it more descriptive. Plus it becomes a complex sentence because you're adding another clause. So it's a great word to use and helps you include multiple theories, multiple reasonings within one sentence or one idea. The next thing is given that. Now this is used at the start, could be used in the middle too, but again, a very good way to start a paragraph in writing or start a new point in speaking. It is a connector that connects multiple ideas, so that's why it's going to be used at the start, especially when you're introducing a new point. Plus, it is, guess what? Again, something that will help you make a complex sentence. I could say, given that we are spending a lot of money this year in the company, next year we have to start saving. So again, two clauses this year and then the next year. Now, given that places that condition because this is happening right now, and then the next thing is the solution or the conclusion. That's why we got to do this. But again, consider you use words like that's why. That's way too basic. Instead of that, we're trying to be advanced and we're trying to be complex. So we would use something like given that. Next thing is using the word appropriate because we have to use it a lot, but just say apropos. It's pronounced apropos, not apropos, but it's written with an S for some reason. Now, when you want to say this situation is appropriate or is not appropriate, then you can say it is not the apropos solution, it is not the apropos condition, or this is not the apropos stance we should take. These words are going to be used in so many places when you're proving your point in writing or speaking, when you're defending one thing, arguing against the other. So make sure to use this highly advantageous and complex as well. Now, on top of is again something that can help you add to your ideas. So let's say you're talking about environment. You're saying that there's environmental pollution, we need to control it. On top of that, the government needs to start making some effort. So on top of that is in a new sentence, it could help you add to that, and it is a wonderful connector. Plus, a lot of you use one-worded connectors like also, plus, furthermore, which is okay, but then you need to throw in connectors of multiple types. You could use adverbs like accordingly, surprisingly, or you could use three-worded connectors like on top of, two-worded connectors like what's more. So keep giving the examiner a variety, and on top of will not only add variety, but will also add to an already existing idea. Next we have it can be observed. A lot of you have this mistake of just using active voice sentences. Guys, you will be scored for the range of sentences. So you got to start using passive voice sentences as well. And a great way to do that is by using the phrase it can be observed. Now, you could say, I have noticed this in the sky, but you could also write, it can be observed. I guarantee you 90% of your sentences would be I, or active voice. But when you say it can be observed, it can be noted, it can be ascertained. These are things that start off an idea in a passive voice, and you need to start using this to include it in the range of vocabulary and expressions. Finally, with regard to is something you can add towards the end of a sentence, and again it relates to whatever you're trying to say. So we could say there are a lot of protests taking place right now with regard to climate change, or we need to implement new policies for the environment with regard to the ongoing crises. So here we have with regard to and add whatever point you want to add. Again, it's very good for flow. It is advanced and unique and helps you include multiple ideas in one sentence. So guys, that's our lesson on the 10 best phrases you can use for CELPIP writing and speaking. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe. Please also check out our best offering with our 15-hour CELPIP self-paced course, Money Back Guarantee. You will score a 10 or your money back. Check it out in the description. We'll talk soon.